It's a sad day to be a student at Syracuse. I want to give my thoughts about the controversy that's now gone national. Of course, Theta Tau, another fraternity at Syracuse, was suspended yesterday, and we're now engulfed in that everlasting debate about race in this country. You're going to hear students, as they come out apologizing in the next few days, say they aren't racist. You're going to hear Greek life here on campus claim that this isn't what they're all about. And you're going to hear Syracuse, the big shots, the administrators, say that this isn't what the university stands for. Well, that doesn't matter. That matters as much as thoughts and prayers, or, sorry over, as we talked about on this program a few weeks ago, the police shooting in Sacramento. Well, I thought the phone was a gun. That doesn't mean anything now. A man's gone. And what has been said by the fraternity members, and what wasn't said by the fellow fraternity members in opposition to that, speaks more than any apologies, any claims about diversity and acknowledgement of issues that anybody here on campus is going to say over the next week and months, hopefully, because this is something that can't go away. We all need to claim responsibility for this problem. Us as members of the university, us as Greek life. Now I'm not part of Greek life, and I have a number of problems I'm going to express in the next 15-20 minutes here with you, because I have a bone to pick with them as well. And I'm not going to do a victory parade here again saying I told you so. I was talking about the issues at play, as we heard about the school in California where a member of a frat was wearing blackface. But back to the point, we all need to acknowledge that this is our community. There's certain facts and realities we have to come to grips with. And the solution isn't to just create an alternative reality where everything we say, all our good intentions, are fact. Now a chancellor sent us an email yesterday morning that sparked this whole thing about how SU received a racist video of members of this Theta Tau frat, an engineer frat, expressing misogyny, racism, anti-Semitism. And this basically boiled down, as the Daily Orange revealed through releasing the video, to a ceremony of some sort. You had multiple kids kneeling down on the ground, repeating phrases that their superiors were shouting at them, as everyone in the background laughed. Now, you heard the N-word dropped, you heard the K-word dropped, and, of course, underrated in all of this, as we heard last week, that Auschwitz is being forgotten by society. Not many people, if you asked them what Auschwitz was, would know. You had members of this frat talking about getting the showers, getting the gas chambers, those types of phrases. Now I wonder how many of them would know what Auschwitz was, the significance of that, how some people are still alive from the Holocaust. Now, if you've been around any people whatsoever. You know that the N-word gets dropped by people who shouldn't be saying the N-word. You know that Holocaust jokes get made by people who aren't Jewish, who don't have to deal with the reality of their existence being impacted by a systematic effort to exterminate their people. And you'll hear the rebuttals from people, oh, they were just joking. They aren't actually racist. They didn't mean the intent of the N-word. They didn't mean the intent of the K-word. Nope. Who are they to define how that language is going to impact people? If you shoot a gun at someone, you can't just say, I didn't mean to hurt that person, because the bullet's still going to hit. Now, in this case, I think it'd be more compared to behind closed doors taking a picture of someone and shooting them in the head. Because, of course, within these fraternities, there isn't a whole lot of representation. And representation's a big, big issue at hand here. We have multiple issues at hand here. And I hear today people saying, oh, this doesn't represent Greek life. This isn't what Greek life's all about. And we're going to have conversations on here with people from all angles of this issue. Because there's multiple at hand here. You have fraternity, hazing. As I just mentioned, that ritual was pretty clearly an example of hazing, but that hasn't been talked about because we've all normalized hazing here. Greek life in general has normalized hazing, and even though they say in their written statements and the rules that they don't condone that, it clearly happens. We have 8 fraternities suspended here or facing some disciplinary action. And most of it revolves around hazing. And, of course, this was a case of blatant racism that was the number one issue at hand here, too. But you got to think, it was clearly a hazing event, too. These people were on their knees being forced to say what they were. And you'll hear, oh, they should have just said, I'm not saying that. They should have stood up and rejected what was being thrown at them. Well, you got to understand the culture here at campus. From the first day you arrive here, you're being told you need to join Greek life. You need to be in a frat. It's crucial to having a good time here. And that was something I thought about as well. You know, I took a look at frats when I first got here. Didn't seem like something I'd totally be interested in, but as one showed interest in me, gave me a scholarship, said they'd like to have me aboard. I spent some time with them, got to know them. That thought crept into my head too. There's an enormous amount of pressure to be involved in that life here. You get told that you need to do it or you aren't going to have friends. Well, that didn't end up being the case with me. In fact, I think I've had a better experience not having been a part of it. And as I got into my second semester here, I said, I'm seeing what these people are being subjected to. And let me just roll through the list. You're seeing people being isolated. Part of the fraternity process for a lot of people is that they can't talk to anyone outside of the fraternity while they're pledging it. And then once you join, of course, you're going to be spending the majority of the time with the people you're in that group with. So suddenly you become even more isolated on campus than you were before. And an experience where you should be seeing other different kinds of people, enriching your perspective on the world, well, you're just hanging out with same kind of people you were in high school, because that's who you're going to gravitate toward when you first get here and you join a frat. So that's my first problem. Second, of course, is the hazing. If anyone heard about some of the stuff that goes on here when it comes to hazing, they'd maybe want to throw up. There'd be outrage, of course. There'd be calls for administration's heads. Because the kinds of stuff they do not only is claimed by the university to be unacceptable, but it's not stuff anyone in 2018 would want to put out there that they're doing. And think of the video too. Of course, you had the N-word being dropped, you had the K-word being dropped, but you also had the people standing up, jacking off in fake jacking off in the people on the ground's faces. So you got normalized hazing. And it's not even just the deaths. There's been highly notarized deaths around the country. But just having your dignity taken in general and being told that you have to sacrifice that dignity to be part of something, it's not right to me. I think that's whack. I don't know why we condone it, why we normalize it in the context of Greek life when we wouldn't do it in any other situation. Imagine you had to go get a job and you had to, fake yank off someone. Be sexual assault. People thrown in jail, no less fired. But in the context of Greek life, it's okay. And I ask today, again, why? Lack of representation, of course. You got social frats here. You got business frats. You got black, Spanish fraternities. You got sororities, too. And they all get thrown under this umbrella of Greek life. And sure, it's unfair. It's a small segment of Greek life that is taking part in these actions, in this hazing, normalized sexual assault, the forced excessive drinking, the conforming, the pledging, that whole process. It's only done by a number of organizations here. You can't paint them all under the same brush. But, again, as I said in the opener, taking that hands-off approach to a problem at hand here isn't the way to go. Think about, you see people waving Confederate flags saying they aren't racist. Why? Because they want to take the hands off the issue that's being thrown at them. They don't want to address their ideology. They don't want to have to think that their worldview is wrong. Well, it's the same way with the Greek life here. They have a way of life that they've become accustomed to here, and they don't want that challenged. And I can't stress enough, it's such a part of the power structure here at school. The administration can't touch them. So many have come through here as alumni and been part of frats. And those alumni are moving on to big, high-paying jobs, and they're giving that money back to the university. And those people wouldn't be happy to see their dear old frats shut down and thrown off campus. So the university's going to stay away. They're going to keep their hands off until something like this drops. And I'm sorry, Chancellor. You have not done a good job with this. You have addressed the issue of Greek life when it's become problematic for the university. You've tried at every turn to have Syracuse's party rank lowered just so it would look better. But only certain parties are getting shut down. You see, black fraternities, they don't have the fancy houses on campus. When they're throwing parties, they're at apartments on South Campus, on the outskirts of campus, and that's where the police are going. You don't see the police pulling up to Theta Chi or Sig Chi or any of the big houses on Frat Row. That's another problem. Why aren't all these frats being treated the same? And that's where the segment of representation, equality on campus, comfort on campus comes into play. And that can be an issue right there with Greek life. There can be more than one issues when it comes to a story evident. And I don't want to hear just joking. I don't want to hear Greek life's not the problem. I don't want to hear this isn't my problem. I don't want to hear this isn't Syracuse's problem, because we all carry the burdens of the communities we're part of. You can't separate yourself from the people who are perpetrating these things. And think to yourself, you might want to highlight the best parts of yourself, but even I know, as someone who, is very proudly liberal, is very proudly a champion of diversity, who is very proudly anti-frat. I know I'm not perfect in this either. I do a lot of talking. I need to do more action on these issues. And I can look myself in the mirror and say that. I haven't done enough to change the things I'm complaining about here on the microphone. And unless I go out and start taking some action to solve these issues. I'm just talking like everybody else. And that is what we have to take away from this. What are we going to do? Not what are we going to say. Not how are we going to make ourselves look good. Our leadership has done a horrific job here, and I would even call for our chancellor to step down. I don't think he's been the leader we need throughout this process. I don't think he has come out and given the students the voice they need. Yesterday afternoon, he had a conference during class that he showed up to. Some people were able to speak. He had a Senate meeting where students were, as I heard, given a very small voice. And then when the students were finally given full voice at night, where is he? Not there. And he's done a lot of talking. In fact, he's done a lot of emailing throughout all these controversies. But has anything changed? Nope. And that shows you the power of words when they're not met with actions. We're going to keep talking about this all week long. I want to talk about the marathon. I want to talk about basketball. I want to talk about the things I care about. But this may be a distraction, but it's a reality people have to be faced with all the time. Think about, I'm white. I get to take a break from worrying about people saying the N-word, about people threatening my existence, about me being subjected to oppression. And when a debate like this comes up, you hear, oh, too bad. The seniors have to go out feeling like this. They have to go out addressing this. Well, how do you think that gives you a sense of how minorities feel? Because they're being pressed with these issues 24/7. They don't get a break from being black. You don't get a break from being Hispanic. You don't get a break from being gay. And that's why we can never, ever stop talking, but more importantly, stop doing what needs to be done to end this. And there's several layers to it. We're going to talk about it all week. We're going to have people on the air here, different voices, different opinions. But that's my word.